Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be looking at Borderlands 4 and the Randy Pitchford meltdown over on Twitter. The FTC is suing Ticketmaster finally, and some might say, and the Escape from Tarkov is finally coming to Steam, but if you already own it on their separate launcher, you have to rebuy it on Steam and then link your account, which is causing a huge ruckus. My name is the Techno Jelly. Please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it if you do. And now let's get into the news. Borderlands 4 has recently come out onto Steam, and for the most part, in terms of the critical response, it has been very positive. I've seen some gameplay of it, and honestly, it looks like it's a return to good Borderlands. Borderlands 3 was really, the gameplay was fine, but the actual writing was terrible. The pre-sequel and the Tiny Tina's Wonderland were good games, but they didn't really change too much. Borderlands 4, at least in the main series, while it hasn't changed the main gameplay too much at all, it's basically the same game. The big improvement has been the writing, which a lot of players have been really happy to see and happy to hear about while they're playing. The main problem, though, is that for most people, they can't experience that because the game runs horribly. The PC performance specifically has been really bad, and even on consoles I've seen some pretty bad stutters, and a lot of people are calling it Stutterlands 4, which is, I applaud their creativity right there. And with anyone that is on the internet and is complaining about video games, you know that people were mostly complaining over on Twitter, Reddit, all those normal social media platforms. And the crazy thing is that Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox, was seemingly had a meltdown or couldn't take people complaining about the game, because he just started replying to people on Twitter and that were complaining about the poor performance on Borderlands 4, constantly talking about it. And he just kept talking on Twitter during this launch and kept responding to people over and over and over again. There were a few notable ones where he'd do just straight up paragraphs. As you can see here, this is the one where he talks about telling this person to just get a refund if he isn't happy with it, and talking about the monster truck. Once again, he is replying to someone, so he's replying to someone, but he's also trying to give help with performance optimization, but he's just saying it in the most Randy Pitchford way. Unfortunately, that's the only way I could best describe it. But I think one of the biggest problems for a lot of people is that even if you are running a really good PC, it's still stuttering like crazy, and it's not hitting, like he says, in the 30 FPS or 60 FPS goals. He is by far underperforming when it comes to the performance in a PC game that it costs, for some people, $100. In Canada, it costs $100. In the US, it costs $80. So, having a game that can just barely run is unacceptable if you're charging that much money for it. And it really sucks because it's overshadowing the fact that Borderlands 4 is a decent game, and it's a good game. If you love Borderlands 2 and 1, then you're going to love this game, because they've basically just made it into a more modern title. And from what I also can tell, they've changed the UI finally, because I hated the Borderlands UI, and now it actually, I'm sure it still has its own set of problems, but at least is not the same UI they've been using since Borderlands 1. And then to keep going on with how he just kept having a meltdown, he was telling people to code their own engines and see how it's done, because a lot of people seem to be putting the blame on Unreal Engine 5, which, to be fair, is a new engine, so a lot of people a lot of the devs haven't really seemingly figured out the engine, though it also seems like they're not even trying, because I feel like a lot of people or a lot of devs seemingly have decided to rely heavily on the NVIDIA special settings, the DLSS stuff, and all those types of frame generation stuff. So, I don't know. It's just one of those big things about Randy Pitchford once again taking over. What the conversation should be is that Borderlands 4 is a good game but has performance issues, but instead is the Borderlands CEO Randy Pitchford is having a meltdown on Twitter and is freaking out and telling people to get refunds and stuff like that if they don't like the game, which, I mean, to be fair, if it wasn't Randy Pitchford, I'd say, yeah, if you don't like the game, get a refund. But the way he says it is just so rude most of the time. And I feel like this is going to be in the history books of the Randy Pitchford meltdown on Twitter, I feel like. Or unless it happens again, to be fair, there are some good Randy Pitchford historical events, like the USB in the medieval times. This might be a close second or third. There are a lot of things that could happen for Randy Pitchford, but as always, we'll always be keeping an eye on seeing what Randy Pitchford says, because sometimes it'd be better for him to just stop talking. But unfortunately and fortunately, depending on whose side you're on, he will not stop talking. So we will always have more Randy Pitchford. Moving on into the wider side of things, the FTC is suing officially Ticketmaster of having a monopoly for one part and a official legal complaint of using bait and switch pricing tactics, which is pretty huge, honestly. I've seen this being reported on tons and tons of news sites because Ticketmaster is, if you've ever had a wanting to go to a concert or any event, you've had to deal with Ticketmaster, and everyone that deals with Ticketmaster knows they're terrible and they're awful and honestly just a really bad service. But the problem is that they're basically the only ones that offer a service like this. And so the official legal complaint has some really interesting details from the fact that from 2019 to 2024, consumers spent nearly $83 billion buying tickets through Ticketmaster, and the FTC says the platform controls at least 80% of the tickets sold by major event venues, according to the agency, and that was from CBS News. And if that is true, that is kind of crazy because, like, people talk about monopolies, but 80% of tickets sold by any major event is a huge monopoly, I feel like. And the biggest problem as well, it is with the whole bait and switch tactics of advertising. In the ads, they're always so much more cheaper prices when they actually aren't. And they would also sell more tickets than they actually had seats, which is obviously a terrible practice. And it's seemingly, through the investigations also reported by the CBS News, it seems that even though the sellers of the tickets and like the artists had limits and put limits on what to sell, Ticketmaster was basically just ignoring them and selling them more seats than they actually had, or more things than they actually had, or at different prices than what they wanted to sell them at. So it's just a whole bunch of terrible business practices by Ticketmaster, and I hope the FTC actually scores a win against them, because it would be nice. While I personally am not the type of person to go to music concerts or shows or anything like that I have to buy a ticket for that, every time I see people talking about that, I feel bad for them, because like all they want to do is they want to enjoy whatever they want to doing, and Ticketmaster is making it incredibly difficult, in either the site just being terrible or it being incredibly expensive randomly, or them not fighting the bots that try to buy the tickets and secondhand sell them. It is a really terrible business, and I hope they win, because the FTC is going for pricing disclosure and being able to transfer the tickets, which is going to be really interesting to see. And hopefully, if they can win, that also means that maybe they can have an actual competition, because another big problem is that Ticketmaster basically has no competition. There is no one dares fight Ticketmaster because they basically own the ecosystem of tickets, basically. And it shouldn't be that way. So hopefully they will win against that. But this is going to be a very long battle, I assume, because they're going to fight this in court, and there's no way that it's a short battle in court. But we'll see how it goes, honestly. And finally, we have, going back to the gaming world, Escape from Tarkov players have rejoiced because the game is finally coming on Steam, which has been a long requested feature. But if you already own the game, it turns out that if you want to own it on Steam as well, you still need to buy it again, which a lot of people had a problem with, because if you would assume, oh, okay, well, I guess that's because the Steam has its own thing. It has its own client. You launch the game. No. When you buy it through Steam, you still need to launch it. You still need to link it to your Battlestategames account. So theoretically, if you own the most expensive edition for Escape from Tarkov, which is, I think, $150, you still need to buy the lowest version of the game to get access to those things. So at least you don't have to buy the full version, like the full expensive version again, but it's still not cool that you have to buy it again. It makes zero sense, because no matter what any dev says, it is 100% easy, relatively easy to do to make it so if you own the game on Steam, you can link it up and the Steam will detect that you already own it. So bunch of companies have done that before. So this is like, one of the things about Escape from Tarkov for me is that the devs are so annoying so many times. I feel like the devs are incredibly lucky to have the fact that their hardcore shooter has gotten this much popularity, but they just don't respect the players, in my opinion. They just don't respect anything. It's one of the reasons why I haven't played in a very long time, because the game doesn't respect your time, but what you're getting into, you know that. But the devs also don't respect your time. And I feel like it's just, at this point, I don't even care about them. Like, I'm so over Escape from Tarkov, and I feel like a lot of players, like more and more and more players, the more and more that happens, they're like, why are you doing this? Why are you constantly doing this? And I also feel like, what is the point? Why did it take so long for it to get onto Steam if they were going to charge for it anyway? Because, like, you would think the reason they would be waiting for Steam is because normally people who are playing on their launcher would just migrate to Steam and there's no new sale. But if you're going to sell the game on Steam, even if you already own it on the launcher, then why did it take this long? If you wanted people to either double dip or just people for waiting to buy the game on Steam, why did it take this long to do it? Because Escape from Tarkov is not a beta game. Like, it says it's in beta, or does it say in beta? I don't even think it does anymore. But the game's been like a fully purchasable game for years and years and years now. There's no reason for it not to be on Steam, and it's so weird that it's taken this long and then you can't even transfer your game onto Steam. So it's really weird, and it's just one of those, another tick in the box of being annoyed at the Escape from Tarkov devs. I can't even remember the Battlestate. I think their name is Battlestate. I can't remember at this point, but it feels like they're feeling the high of having no real competition. And I feel like when other companies finally start taking players away from Escape from Tarkov, I feel like they might change their tune, because I feel like they're just on top of the world when it comes to extraction shooters. And I feel like their time is being whittled down by all of their consumer unfriendly practices. Thank you for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you have anything to talk about the Borderlands 4 Randy Pitchford story, the FTC, or the Ticketmaster stuff, or the Escape from Tarkov stuff, please let me know down in the comments. If you would like to comment on any of those things. If you liked the video, please like it. If you disliked it, hit that dislike button. I completely understand. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. 95% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, please go over to Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, or Patreon. And if you'd like to join the Patreon, you can join all of these nice people going across the screen right now and join the credits. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.